Hi my dear students, welcome back to a new session. Today I am going to start with chapter number 2. Name is Sexual Reproduction in Flowering Plant. Chapter number 2, name is Sexual Reproduction in Flowering Plant. So most of the case all flowering plants are going to perform the sexual reproduction. The sexual reproduction organ is a flower. The flower size shape is differ in different spaces. And here these flowers which are going to perform huge diversity as well as adaptation. Huge diversity as well as adaptations. In this chapter we are going to study regarding structure, morphology and process of reproduction we are going to discuss. Right. So first in the first heading is given pre-fertilization structure and events are given. So before that, one small information, general information is study of flower. Study of flower. Study of flower is called as anthology. The study of flower is called as what? Anthology. And opening of the flower is called as anthesis. The opening of flower is called as anthesis. Next, the culture of flowering plant, it is called as floriculture. Third point is culture of flowering plants, it is called as floriculture. It is called as what? Floriculture. According to the Linnaeus is tell that the flower is a modification of shoot. According to the Linnaeus, the flower is modification of the flower. It is a modification of shoot. Flower is a modification of shoot. And in the last classes we had been discussed that the first phase is a vegetative phase, the second phase is a reproductive phase. Before the formation of flower, number of hormonal changes are occurred and number of structural changes are occurred. So these hormonal changes as well as structural changes which are going to initiate and to development or to formation of floral primordium. So this floral primordium which is going to become as inflorescence, and the inflorescence which is going to lead formation of floral buds, the floral buds which is going to become as one flower. Right? What the point I have to write? Before the formation of flower, number of hormonal changes, hormonal as well as structural changes are initiated. Structural changes are going to initiated. So which is going to lead formation, which is going to lead development and differentiation at the last, which is going to form floral primordium. Floral or flower primordium is going to form. So this floral primordium which is going to become as inflorescence. The last which is going to become as what? Inflorescence. Now this inflorescence which is going to bear floral buds. The floral buds which is going to bear last flowers is going to form. Right? So this is actually formation of flower. And we know that each and every flower, most of the cases, the flower containing parts, we can mainly divide into two types. One is essential organs, one is non-essential organs. Essential organs are like androecium and gynoecium which are involving in sexual reproduction, such are called as essential organs. Which are not involving in sexual reproduction, so that are called as what? Non-essential organs. Non-essential organs which are going to attracting of pollen grains which are not involving in reproduction. Right? Organs are what? One is essential organs and one is non essential organs. You know that essential organs are, one is androecium and one is gynoecium. Androecium and gynoecium. So these essential organs which are going to directly involve in reproduction. Next one is non-essential organs which are calyx as well as corolla. Calyx and corolla. And we know that calyx and corolla which is not involved in the sexual reproduction, the useful in pollination. It means attracting of insect. Next, the flower is containing 4 parts. That we can bisex for flower, we can call as what? Complete flower. If it is unisex for flower, it is called as incomplete flower. If it is containing 4 parts, so that is actually called as what? Bisexual flower. So bisexual flower we can consider as what? It is complete flower. Right? So in case of dioecious species, here only calyx, corolla, either androecium or gynoecium is present. That you know already. Such plant, such flower we can call as unisexual. So unisexual flower is what? It is incomplete flower. Right? So now we are going to discuss regarding structure. First, androecium. Androecium nothing but what? Stamen. Androecium is nothing but stamen or staminate flower. Right? So stamen, which is containing mainly 2 parts. The first part the long filamentous structure we can call as stalk-like structure we can call as a filament. And second, the swollen and lobed part we can call as a anther. So the stamen which is mainly consists 2 parts. One is long stalk-like structure. The long stalk-like structure we can call as what? Filament. It is called as what? Filament. So here the filament, the proximal end of the filament which is going to touch to the thalamus. The proximal end of filament which is going to touch or attach it to thalamus. Proximal end. And one more end, the next end, the distal, the second end which is going to attach it to anthers with the help of connective tissue. Right? So this is regarding what? The first part, it is filament. And next part is what? The next part is anther. Right? So anther is what? Anther is, you can say, swollen and bilobed. Anther is swollen part or bilobed anther. Lobes are present. So at the beginning, actually, for tetragonal chin shape, the anther is tetragonal in shape. Generally, the anther is typical anther of angiosperm is tetragonal in shape. Anthers. So anther, which is also called as microsporangium. The anther also known as what? Microsporangium. Within the microsporangium, microspores are present. Microspores means what? Microspores are formed due to the meiotic division that we can call as what? Pollen grains. Right? So generally, the number of the stamens, the height of the stamens which is differ in different species. All flowers which are not containing same number of the stamens or height also. Let's say for example, do you know already, for example, 9 plus 1 arrangement of the stamens. It means the total number of stamens are only 10. 9 plus 1 arrangement of the stamens, and 2 plus 4 arrangement of the stamens, and infinity of stamens, like. So 9 plus 1 anthers, 9 plus 1 anthers we can notice in Fabaceae family. Fabaceae family, like Dolichos labella, beans, garden pea plants, these all are example is beans as well as pea plant. Next, 2 plus 4 arrangement. Here you can see anthers are different in height. The different height of the anthers we can notice in Brassicaceae family, Brassicaceae family, in Brassica plants we can notice different height of the plants. And here infinity, number of stamens are present, number of stamens. So this infinity condition we can notice in Malvaceae family. Malvaceae family, then notice infinity stamens, right? So one of the example of Malvaceae is China rose. China rose, Hibiscus rosa synapses, right? So this is actually regarding male stamen. Next, anther. The typical angiosperm anther is containing 2 lobes. The typical angiosperm anther, which is containing 2 lobes, each lobe is containing 2 theca. The first point what I have to write? The typical angiosperm anther, which is consist 2 lobes, So that's why this typical angiosperm anther is called as, such anther is called as bilobed anther, right? And each lobe, bilobed anther, each lobe which is containing 2 theca, each lobe is consist 2 thecas are present. Each lobe is containing 2 theca. And here, therefore, it is also called as dithecus. Therefore, it is also called as what? Dithecus. Right? So, generally, the anther at the young stage, the anther you can see, here you can see this is actually complete anther. So this we can consider as lobe like. So this is actually anther, it is one filament and which is anther. So here 2 lobes, this is actually one anther, this is one anther. We can consider this is actually lobe A, this we can consider as lobe B. And each lobe which is containing 2 theca. At the condition of young condition, generally it is also called as locule. It is also called as locule. Locule 1, locule 2, locule 3 and locule 4. So at the young condition we can call as tetralocular anther. At the young condition we can call as tetralocular anther. But when anther is become as matured, so this tetralocular anther is become as bilocular. It is become as bilocular anther. So locule means what beta? Locule means you can see it's nothing but one room, one chamber, right? So lobe, actually this one is lobe. Lobe A, lobe B. This is lobe. And you can see within the lobe here, these are 2 sporangiums we can call as. 2 sporangiums, 2 locules, 2 rooms, like 2 theca also we can call. So generally in competition here is given generally typical angiosperm anther is dithecus in condition. The typical angiosperm anther is dithecus in condition. Right? So the dithecus in condition, the dithecus anther is containing how many microsporangium? It is containing 4 microsporangium. sporangium or microsporangium. We also call as 4 pollen sacs. You can call as what? 4 pollen sacs. So this is nothing but difference pollen sac 1, pollen sac 2, pollen sac 3 and pollen sac 4. Next, so that is example of like datura, typical angiosperms. These all are dithecous. Next, and some of the angiosperms are anthers which are also be monothecous in condition. Monothecous in condition. Monothecous condition means here which is containing only one lobe, which is containing 2 sporangium. 2 sporangium. If 2 sporangiums are present, that monothecous which is containing only 2 sporangium, that is called as what? Bisporangiate. It is called as bisporangiate. It is called as what? Bisporangiate. So simple here, what you have to remind here, these 2 points are, if 4 sporangias are present, that is called as what? Tetrasporangiate. If only 2 sporangiums are present, so that is nothing but become the simple language what? Pollen sac. Pollen sac. If only 2 pollen sac present, that is called as what? Bisporangiate. Bisporangiate. This is actually information. But some excess information here generally in some special cases. So some of the anthers which are containing more than 4 microsporangium, so that we can call as multisporangiate anther. More than 4. More than 4 sporangiums are consist. That is called as multisporangiate anther. That is called as multisporangiate anther. Example is Bixaceae, Bixaceae, Bixaceae family. But what? Bixaceae family. And sometimes actually the thecus which is containing, the lobe which is containing or the microsporangium is only 1 sporangium is present. Only 1 sporangium. Right? It means only 1 pollen sac is present. That is called as unisporangiate. That is called as unisporangiate. That condition is called as what? Unisporangiate. The best example is Arcithobium. Arcithobium species. Arcithobium species. The important point of regarding Arcithobium, it is a like a smallest angiosperm. Arcithobium is a smallest parasite. Smallest parasite angiosperm. Angiosperm. Right? So this is actually regarding what? Regarding anther. Next, structure of matured anther. Structure of matured anther. Here we given the TS of young anther. TS of young anther. The TS of young anther is tetralocule. Here 4 locules are present. 1, 2, 3, 4. Each locule we can call as microsporangia. Each locule we can call as what? Microsporangia. So that's why we can call as what? Tetrasporangia. So it is called as what? Tetrasporangia. It is also called as tetrasporangia. So let look at the structure of anther. How many layers are present? How many different type of cells are present in this anther? The first one is here. This is the first layer. It is endodermis. It is what? Endodermis. So below the endodermis, one more layer is present. That is called as endothecium. It is called as what? Endothecium. Below the endothecium, number of multi-layer cells are there. So this portion, this complete portion, we can call as multi-layer. It is multi-layered. And you can see here below the multi-layered cell, here uniseriate layer cells are. This is a uniseriate cells. So these uniseriate cells we can call as tapetum cells. Tapetum cells. Right? So in tapetum cell, here this is complete chamber. This is, you can see, one locule or one chamber. It is one chamber. So in this chamber, which are present here, these are pollen grains which are tetrad in condition. Tetrad pollen grains are present. This is tetrad pollen grain. It is tetrad pollen grain. So generally this is actually structure of anther. Structure of young anther. Like now, now we are going to discuss each and every part. The first one is the first point. Which one is? First one is, the first layer is epidermis. The first layer is epidermis. First layer is what? Epidermis. Here, epidermis, and as well as which one? Endothecium. Endothecium, epidermis, endothecium, as well as multi-layer. Multi-layer. So these three cells which are going to be useful for, they give protection as well as involving in dehiscence of the anther and releasing of pollen grains. The main function is what? The main function is protection. The main function is protection of anther as well as which are going to dehiscence of the anther. Dehiscence of anther. To releasing of, due to the dehiscence of anther, releasing of pollen grain. Pollen grain. So this is actually first. And next point here, tapetum cells are there. Tapetum cells here. So tapetum cells, you can see little bit big size. This tapetum cells are contain dense cytoplasm. Dense cytoplasm. And here nucleus are multi-nucleus condition. Dense cytoplasm as well as multi-nucleate condition. More than one nucleus are present in tapetum cells. The main function of tapetum cells, which is going to nourishment of pollen grains. Nourishment of pollen grains during the development. Right? This is tapetum. And below tapetum or inner side of the tapetum cells, inner side of the tapetum cells, here some specialized cells are there that we can call as microspore mother cells. So where these microspore mother cells are formed? Before that, homogeneous tissues are present in that chamber. That homogeneous tissues we can call as sporogenous tissues. Now these sporogenous tissues are differentiated and become as microspore mother cells. Now these microspore mother cells which are undergoes a meiotic division and produce tetrad pollen grains. Got the point? Here, inner side of the tapetum, homogeneous layer cells are present. Homogeneous means the cells are same, compactly arranged homogeneous cells along with the tapetum cells. That cells we can call as sporogenous tissues. That cells we can call as what? Sporogenous tissues. These sporogenous tissues are which in condition? Diploid in condition. The sporogenous tissues are which in condition? Diploid in condition. Now these sporogenous tissues are differentiated. They are differentiated and which are undergoes meiosis division and produce pollen tetrad. Right? Now pollen tetrads are formed within where? Sac. We can call as pollen sac. Now it is matured pollen grains. When it is matured pollen grain, when it is matured pollen, when it is matured anther, when it is matured anther, so now this tetralocular condition, this tetralocular condition is going to become as bilocular. It is going to become as what? Bilocular condition is going to form. It means dehiscence takes place. So here which is going to dehiscence like this, like it is going to dehiscence. Now here these all are what? Pollen grains. Now these all are going to releasing pollen grains. Now it is become as what? Bilobed. It is become as what? Bilobed. Matured anther is containing bilobed condition. Right? So here due to the dehiscence of anther, due to the dehiscence of anther, pollen grains are released. Pollen grains are released. Right? So this is actually the young anther and how the process, how the pollen grains are released. Let's see each and every layer in detail. The first one is, the first layer is which layer? The first layer is epidermis. The first layer is what? Epidermis. So here epidermis is what? Outermost layer, which is outermost layer, and a uniseriate layer, only one layer is present. Uniseriate layer, only one layer is present. And each and every cell is containing only one nucleus, that is called as single nucleus. It is uninucleate condition. It is called as what? Uninucleate. So here what? Epidermis is outermost layer, uniseriate and uninucleated condition. Most of the cases epidermis is made up of living parenchymatous tissue. Living parenchymatous tissue. Exceptions for only computation, not for theory. Exception cases are fibrous thickness. Sometime epidermis we can notice, fibrous thickness we can notice. If fibrous thickness, actually it is one of the main character of gymnosperm anther. It is main character of gymnosperm. Right? Next. So in all plant, the outermost layer of epidermis, the function is only one function, that is protection of the anther. The function is, which is protection of anther. So this is actually one, only uniseriate, uninucleated anther. Right? Next layer is what? Next layer is endothecium layer. Endothecium layer which is occurred below the epidermis. Most of the cases endothecium is only one layer, but in Datura species endothecium is two layers. Right? Here middle layer, which one is? Endothecium. The position is where? The endothecium is below the epidermis. So it is also what? It is also be uniseriate, single layer is present. Uniseriate, single layer is present, as well as uninucleated, uniseriate as well as uninucleated. And mostly here this is uniseriate and uninucleate condition. Next, here in some case actually here sometime endothecium is multi-layer. Exception is multi-layer endothecium we can notice in a Datura species. Next, the function of endothecium. The function of endothecium actually it is hygroscopic in nature, which is in hygroscopic in nature. It is going to observe the water molecules and increasing in size, and it is going to allow to dehiscence of anther in particular location, that is called as stromium. So this is actually stromium. Here it is stromium, right? So function of endothecium is here, which is it is hygroscopic in nature, first. So due to that, it is going to absorb the water molecules and increasing in size, later, which is going to descend at particular point, particular position of endothecium, that is called as what? Stromium. And here exception for only competition exam. Here generally which is made up of callose or alpha cellulose thickness. So generally endothecium is which thickness? Generally it is callose thickness or alpha cellulose thickness. The thickness which is absent in cleistogamy flowers. Flowers we can divide into two types. So some are flowers, you can see anthesis flowers. Some flowers are never open. So that flowers we can call as cleistogamy flowers. Here thickness is absent. Exception. The thickness is absent in cleistogamy flowers. Absent in cleistogamy flowers. Right? So this is actually second layer endothecium. And third layer is what? Third layer is middle layer. Middle layers which are present in between endothecium to tapetum layer. So just put the heading. Third one is middle layers. Right? So as usual, middle layers also we can see middle layers are first point. These are multi-layer. Nearly 3 to 5 layers. 3 to 4 or 5 layers are present. Which are parenchymas. Generally which are parenchymas in nature. Generally these are parenchymatous in nature. First. Next, middle layers, where they are present? Middle layers which are present in between endothecium to tapetum cells. Next, generally in most of the cases in all anther, before the formation of microspores or before the undergoing of meiotic division, which cells? Microspore mother cells which are undergoes a meiotic division. It means before the formation of pollen grains, so these middle layers are going to disappear or disintegrated. Before the formation of pollen grains, these middle layers are digested or disintegrated. So this is actually considered middle layers. So middle layers generally multi-layer, but some exceptions are there. Exception is in Wolffia. Here it is unilayer. It is what? Unilayer. You know already Wolffia is what? One of the smallest angiosperm plant. And here in this entire information, where the exception cases are there, exception cases for only competition purpose, right? Only competition purpose. Next, after completion of middle layer, next layer is what? Tapetum layer. Next layer is what? Tapetum layer. So here the first question is, you can see tapetum cell. Sir, why tapetum cells are diploid in condition? Sir, why tapetum cells are binucleated in condition? Why they are not in mononucleated condition? The reason is generally during the cell division, first karyokinesis, next cytokinesis. So after the formation of karyokinesis, two nucleus are formed. So after the karyokinesis, immediately not followed by the cytokinesis. So that's why two nucleus or more than two nucleus which are present in within the one single cell. So that is actually become as what? Tapetum cells. The first point what I have to write, the tapetum cells also be unilayer. First point. Second, you know as usual, the second point is which are act as nutrition, for pollen grains. And third point is tapetum cells are endopolyploid. These are considered different ploidy. Here, the question is what here? Why these are binucleated? Why these cells are binucleated in condition? The reason is what? The reason is endomitosis. The reason is what? Endomitosis. What is endomitosis? After the completion of karyokinesis, immediately cytokinesis is not followed. After karyokinesis, it is immediately not followed by cytokinesis. So due to that what happened? Due to that binucleated condition is formed. Binucleated conditions are formed. Due to that binucleated conditions are formed. Right? So this is regarding what? Tapetum. Tapetums are again divided into two types. One is amoeboid tapetum, one is glandular or secretory tapetums. Tapetums are tapetum layers. We can divide into two types. Types of tapetum. One is amoeboid tapetum, and one more is secretory or glandular tapetum. Right. So tapetums are very essential for formation of fertile pollen grains. If tapetum is not involved, pollen grains is not going to become, they become as sterile pollen grains are going to form. So let's focus on what is the major role of tapetum in the formation of pollen grains. So first to discuss regarding amoeboid tapetum. So this type of tapetum is most primitive tapetum, or we can notice in primary or primitive type of, it is primary type of tapetum. So this type of tapetum we can notice in monocots. This type of tapetum is noticed in monocots. Let's see what is the role of amoeboid tapetum. During the dehiscence of anther, during the maturity of the anther, this tapetum layers which are all going to digest or with the help of hydrolytic enzymes. Now the tapetum cell containing fluid or protoplasm which is entered into the anther chamber, nothing but the pollen chamber. Now immature pollen grains which are going to surrounded by the tapetum protoplasm. So this tapetum protoplasm which is going to give the exine layer to the pollen grains. So first this amoeboid tapetum. So during the maturity of the pollen grain which are release protoplasm. The protoplasm which is going to enter into pollen chamber, pollen chamber. The pollen chamber is containing immature pollen grains, which is containing immature pollen grains, which is containing immature pollen grains. Now this protoplasm, which is going to surrounded to immature pollen grains, immature pollen grains. Later, which is also involved to formation of exine layer of pollen grain. Pollen grain is containing two layers, one is intine, inner side, one is outer layer is exine. If exine layer is not formed, the pollen grain is going to become as sterile. Pollen is going to become as sterile. First point. Next type is what? Secretory tapetum. Secretory tapetum. It is also called as glandular tapetum. Called as glandular tapetum. So in this case, these cells are contained. This type of cells which are containing specialized cells, they are consist, such are called as Ubish bodies, which are consist Ubish bodies, right? So when the pollen grains is going to become mature, these Ubish bodies are escaped from the tapetum cells and enter into the pollen sac and going to surround to the immature pollen grains, and also secretes the exine layer and also secrete the exine layer. Got the point or not? So in that way, the tapetum cells which are going to give the nourishment to the pollen grains to become matured as well as fertile. If tapetum cells are not involved, exine layer is not going to form. Exine layer is not formed, the pollen grain is not going to become as fertile. It is going to become as sterile, right? So this is actually a role of tapetum in mature pollen grains. Okay. In the next class, we are going to discuss regarding microsporogenesis. Thank you all of you.